So the University of Montana is pleased to announce this partnership with PaymentWorks. Through the partnership, PaymentWorks will automate and streamline management of vendor relationships through a cloud-based solution. Once the vendor has completed the necessary information online, the vendor record will flow into Grismart and Banner and will be available for all uses within Grismart and Banner, such as contracts, requisitions, purchase orders, and then eventually the invoice payment. The process is electronic and has a workflow that helps the university efficiently accomplish what has been a manual process in the past. For example, PaymentWorks will TIN match the vendor real time and thus eliminate any collection of W-9 information that has to be collected from the vendor and sent over to us for basically Tracy to put in the system. Vendors will provide information directly and will be prompted within uniform fields in an effort to onboard in the most efficient process available. So it will really be on the vendors themselves to supply the information in order to get a timely payment. For us, we will be inviting them to enroll in the PaymentWorks platform and provide their information. So I guess we'll get started on the. We'll show you how this all works here. So the onboarding process, currently how it works the manual way. So you have suppliers that are dealing with departments to ask them, we want to do business with you, and so forth, and give us your information, your address, your TIN and information, and then it either comes into Grismart or it comes through an email into Tracy, and then she has to put it into Banner basically, and then it syncs over to Grismart, which then you can create a cart and pay for your goods or services. The new way will be automated. There will be the departments will invite the suppliers. They will register in PaymentWorks. And then once the register in PaymentWorks, then it will go to the ERP, which is Banner and Grismart, and go into your cart. We plan on having links, several links in the system. There'll be links to the invite process on our website. There will be on the front page of Grismart, as well as when you're in a cart in Grismart, there will be a link to invite the person or the vendor that's supplying the goods or services to you. So there'll be many ways to send the invites. Sure.
Is the W-9 form they're going to be filling out?
PaymentWorks will be collecting the information and creating a W-9, which will be stored in the PaymentWorks platform.
So they don't have to actually fill out a W-9 anymore. They fill in the fields, and then PaymentWorks auto generates that for us to pull later if we need it for the IRS. No, we're not collecting that information currently through PaymentWorks, so that will still need to be in the Grismart part.
Quick question: is it everybody that's in Grismart right now stays? Right?
Yes.
We don't have to.
Right. It's only new folks that we haven't done business with yet that will need to be invited. We also are excluding reimbursements to employees and students. They don't need to go into the PaymentWorks and register for a reimbursement. We are working on an integration that will automatically put them in to be paid. Tracy's kind of doing that right now manually, but there'll be another automatic flip for employees and students so they can be reimbursed automatically.
So until
Right now, we just do it
the same way, yeah, the same way you're currently doing it right now.
Yep, no, I was just going to say for, the students and employees till that automated process is up and running, you'll still do the vendor request form with Tracy through the website.
Okay, so this is kind of a snapshot of the web page that we put together to kind of do the FAQs about this process. So it can be found under business services, accounts payable, and then vendor setup maintenance there down at the bottom on the left there. So we'll be adding more information as questions come in about how do I use this? So there'll also be links to invite suppliers or vendors, as well as the video of this presentation as well will be on there for future employees that didn't have an opportunity to learn about this at this time. So this is kind of what the link will be looking like. So it is you'll use the net ID. So anybody that is a university employee or student can invite a vendor as long as you have a net ID. So this link will be, like I said, placed on Grismart on our website, and then once you're authenticated, then you're able to send an invite to the PaymentWorks platform. And this is what you will see once you get in there. This is kind of the generic look of what PaymentWorks kind of looks like. The vendor master updates, and then the send invite button is down there. And this is what you will fill out, which will go to the vendor. You'll need to supply who they are, what their email address is, are they an individual, and then a description of what you're purchasing, supplies or service. And then once you send it, then they have to respond. And then there's a status page that kind of tracks what the vendor has done, because they get an email and then they have to confirm, right? Is that Ryan?
Yeah, do you want me to walk?
Yeah, if you could walk through that maybe.
Yeah, for sure. So this page you guys will see in your initiator view. This is just what we call it. And it's pretty much going to lay out as they move through the process where exactly they are. So if you see in the invitation column, when you send an invitation, it'll go through as delivered. Once they click on the link and go into create an account, that will switch to clicked. With vendor account, you'll have the status will be vendor account confirmed once they actually create that account. So once they create their account and log in, they'll be presented with the new vendor registration, which is the third status column next to the complete column. And not started means they haven't gone in and begun any of it. In progress means they still haven't submitted the form. They might have filled out portions of it, but left for whatever reason before they pressed submit. And then once it's submitted, you'll have the status of new vendor registration submitted. And then your vendor team will either return it for them to edit if it's not correct, or they'll approve it, at which point a supplier record will be created and will go into your ERP. So once it says complete, you'll get the vendor number in that new vendor registration column, and you'll be good to go.
Does it save as you go? So if they close out of that window, it still has that.
You don't lose. You never lose your progress. Yep. Yep. We have email notifications that are sent out once your payee completes their registration, so you will be notified.
How many people in business services are going to complete that registration so we don't have to wait on somebody if they're on vacation?
We don't complete it. The vendor completes it.
Yeah, but then he said you have to get approved.
Right.
So
It will be ongoing. That will be my whole job. Just like a button. I think we're gonna see how it flows and possibly get rid of that option in the future, but for the next few months, we're gonna make sure that we've got everything flowing correctly. But it will be the same as it is now. My hours between 8:30 and 2:30. So there will be that same approve function in there.
Yeah, and we may change the configuration so that it just goes through as soon as the vendor has completed their registration. But to start off, we're going to have Tracy look at them for a while to make sure that they're doing it correctly. Yes. If they don't have an email address.
We're trying to, I do understand that we have quite a few of those on campus that I've talked with Jenny about some. So I'm aware that there's still going to be a manual process in place. I will still be available to do that. We would like to get as many people as we can going through this system though. So yeah. But if they have an email address, they can do this.
Yeah, we're still going to maintain the new vendor's email address, and that goes to multiple people. And it's at the end of the PowerPoint I have the ad. It's new vendors at MSO that you can do the request to, but we want to keep that to a minimum.
Yeah.
We don't really want to see any W-9s stamped that way either.
Unless it's
Unless it's at, right.
Absolutely, yeah, necessary.
Is there some sort of email address that they need to save to their address book to make sure it doesn't go to spam?
No. Our email deliveries are pretty good, and our support team as well as our engineering team is constantly monitoring email delivery. And if for whatever reason, if an email fails to send or something like that, we will rebatch it and get it out.
Well, wait, my inbox is set to only accept people from a specific address.
We were doing vendor testing through using Gmail, and I never had an email go to spam. So, and I was using a major platform. So these are not being flagged for spam, probably because they're not sending an email every week. So they only get that one email, and then so they get their first email that says verify it, and then they get the second email that says it's been completed, that we've accepted their registration, right? Then they get two.
Well, so they get
three. Three. They get three.
so they get the invitation email to start. They create their account. We send an activation email, and they click on the link in that activation email, and they're taken to the login page for PaymentWorks. And then once they complete the form and it's been approved, they'll receive email notifications.
And then that should be it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. If they don't, we do send out reminders if they either don't create an account or don't finish the registration. So there'll be those. But if everything's going according to plan, those should.
And you will see in here, if you've typed in the email address or something wrong, it will come up and say that the email failed. So it will tell you if that email didn't work.
And you'll be able to resend it with the correct email by pressing on the invitation column. The invitation details will pop up. So one thing I did forget to mention, those 3 status columns, once they're blue, which means an action has been taken, you can click on them to see the information. The invitation will give you all the invitation data and will also allow you to resend the invitation. The vendor account column will tell you who created the account. And then the new vendor registration column can only be clicked on by people who have permission to view requests, which you guys won't. So you don't really have to worry about that.
Okay. And this is an example of what the email the vendor will see. It's big enough, actually, to see from the back. But it essentially says, "Dear Missoula Power Supply," or whoever the company is, and then it explains what this is and how to establish. There's a click. You have to click the link, which will then start the activation process, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep, that will take them to the account creation page. And then once they create the account, they'll receive the activation, which is not.
It will have our logo in there too.
Yeah, it'll have our logo. It'll have links on there to reach support and who to call, email if they have questions.
Yeah.
It will show whoever sent it.
Whoever sent it, yeah.
Yep. So the person receiving the invitation, it will say "Dear blank," and then it'll include your name in that, so they know who to contact, and we know.
They know who sent them the invite.
Yeah.
Where does the support at PaymentWorks have done those? Person sending it or somebody?
Sorry, if someone writes an email to support at
Okay,
PaymentWorks.
once they click on that, don't hesitate to reach out.
So that'll come to we have a support team, ever expanding, but they are great. That's actually the department I started in. They really do a great job. So if you ever need anything relating to the platform, please reach out and ask.
Yeah, there'll be different questions. So if it's related to the platform, then you would work with PaymentWorks. But if it's with the vendor process onboarding, our business process, then it would be Tracy that you'd want to work with.
Exactly, because we can help you with the platform, but there's policy and and approval steps that need to be taken here. So we unfortunately can't really answer.
Right. So this is part of the when they do their activation, right? They hit the join now.
Yeah, when they click on the link in the invitation, this is what will appear in their web browser.
And so this is the beginning of they have to create an account, right? It looks like. And then once they create the account, then then they get this email here that says that they've registered and they have 72 hours to activate their account with PaymentWorks. And then once they do that, this is what you were talking about, Ryan, where the columns get updated based on what action they've taken, the vendor's taken. Once it's complete in that, then it's now open and available for use, and that's when it will be synced over to Banner and to Grismart for use. This kind of shows the listing of all the invites that we've done.
This is a test account for another
Yeah.
account, but it's similar.
Yeah.
Similar to what we're doing, yeah. Then there are searches on here, so if you're searching for a payee, you can do that on here as well to find out if they're in the system, if they've done all their actions to be able to be used yet, right?
And also if they're being used by another department, you'll be able to search the vendor, basically the vendor master list like you would in Banner to see if they already have accounts set up.
So some troubleshooting. So I cannot send the invite. Invitation was previously sent to this email address. So PaymentWorks doesn't allow multiple invitations to be sent to this single email. So someone else may have previously sent the invite. So they do have duplicate checking. So if you invite someone that's already in Banner, you still go through the invite process, but when it comes in, it's going to say, hey, wait a minute, I already see that Joe Smith is already in your system and you're already using him. So then at that point, then Tracy will say, no, we don't, avoid the duplicate. We already have this person set up. It will create an account, I think, within PaymentWorks so that they can maintain their information, but it doesn't create another account for them in Banner.
Their request will get connected to
Connected,
the existing supplier. That's the big buzzword, connected, is when they're all the way through the process.
What if we have a vendor that they change their EIN to change it?
That would be a new vendor record.
So we would invite them again,
Yes.
even though they might be Inc. instead of LLC.
If they're, what we have at this point have determined that if they're updating address or name, phone number, email, they will go into their account that's already existing with PaymentWorks, and then it will send us that update. If they're changing an EIN, we need them to set up a new account so that we maintain both accounts in Banner. Because we discovered through testing that if the vendor changes the EIN through PaymentWorks, it deletes the Banner account, and we don't want that. So if they come to you and say, we've merged, Jim Bob's Fishing merged with Ralph Smith Towing, they need to set up a new account under the new EIN instead of.
How does that work if it's the same email address?
I haven't figured that out.
Well,
I don't know.
You're asking if they already have that email address in the ERP.
Correct, but they need to change their.
It doesn't matter if it's in the ERP. If it hasn't been sent an invitation through PaymentWorks, you'll be able to send them.
But she's saying if they already have an account set up under this email address, how will they?
Update their information.
Yeah, update their EIN. That happens so infrequently. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
they update EIN so infrequently that I would say if that happens, just email me and we'll figure it out so that we don't wind up deleting something in Banner that shouldn't be deleted. I mean, it happens like maybe 2-3 times a year on my end. So.
But to answer your question, on the payee side, which we won't get too far into today, they have a company profile, which is all their core information that we ask for in every single form, regardless of who has it, whether it's Montana or Johns Hopkins or Kentucky, and they can go into that and change their EIN in their company profile, and it will go through as an update to Montana.
You don't want
So
that.
never mind.
That's what I was saying. Don't have them do that. Don't
Yeah.
have them do that.
How are you going to let all the vendors know that this is going on? Are you guys sending out mass emails to them?
That's what you guys will do.
We only have to invite people that are
Yeah.
new. So if you're going to do business with a new person, then you invite them. We don't have to let everyone that's already in the system know that, because it's not changing.
Until
their-
Unless they're
until they
Unless
right,
they're
until they unless they're updating information,
Yeah.
like updating address, then they'll need to go into this, or they pass that 3-year mark since we last matched them, and then they'll have to go through paperwork.
But they have been told about this.
No, we haven't told any vendors. We have no way
We
to
have
tell
no way to-
70,000 people.
Yeah, we have no
Well,
way.
I was wondering.
Yeah.
There's no way to tell everyone that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what we've noticed at other accounts is that it's just best to reach out to them as you go.
Yeah.
Because there's no really proactive, if you reach out to that many people, there's not many proactive action items to pull out of contacting that many people. So just as you're going along, they'll get sent out. Because it's not like a program that everybody needs to enroll in. It's based on whether or not they need to update it or they're new.
So if they're a vendor in PaymentWorks, if you send an invite, does what they're already outgoing with us?
So you're saying if they've already connected to another,
Yeah, they
University.
say they're Montana State already. a
Yes.
vendor.
Then it would just connect to the University of
So they don't have to
Montana.
do
well, it would fill out the information in the form automatically based on what they've already submitted. And then custom fields that are
Right.
unique to University of Montana, they would need to complete. But
So they still have to commit to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
a couple things, not too much, especially for individuals.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have much to.
They don't verify their email within 72 hours, what happens?
They would need, they'll get reminders and they would need to reach out to us to have them send another activation. Because we don't want it hanging out there in case someone's phishing or something like that. It's very easy to do that, so we time it out after this.
Is this platform mobile friendly, or do they have to be?
Not yet.
accessible?
Coming soon. I don't have a date. Don't take that as very soon, but it's in. We've discussed it internally, and it's a goal that we.
So they have to be on a desktop.
Correct.
Or tablet. It would work on a tablet.
So
Or
if
usually
I have a
phone,
vendor
desktop.
who needs address and doesn't know about this, I let him know and
You would send him an invitation and tell him, we're using this new system to handle all of our information in the third-party cloud. I'm saying third party? That sounds weird. But yes, you would have to invite them into the PaymentWorks system. And then theoretically, what we would like to have happen is then when they have a new address, they don't need to tell you. They just go change it. So it eliminates a lot of the communication that you guys have and then that you have with me, chasing down these people. You know, your W-9's wrong. Well, now we've got to wait, 2 weeks for him to come back to get a new one or whatever it is. So it's putting the onus of responsibility all on the vendor to supply this information. And if they don't want to supply the information, they go past their 72 hours. What we've discussed is they don't get paid. You don't want to do it, you don't get paid. So I know that sounds really harsh because we're not used to dealing with our vendors that way, but I think once we get the hang of it, it will be a lot easier for us to say, do it.
That'll motivate people.
yeah.
Well, and another
Another-
bonus that your vendors will have with this system is we will be feeding payment information into it from
Invoices.
Banner. So when your invoices are processed, it'll feed back into PaymentWorks so your vendor can go look directly and see what the status is of their invoices. So it has a little bit more of a capability for them to monitor the status of things so they can see if, it's in process, if it's been paid. So it'll give them that ability
A
as
little bit
well.
more visibility and just see
Yeah.
where their invoice is in the process, why it's not paid
Instead
yet.
of having to call you.
Yeah.
Will they receive notification updates? Or updating?
As far as
As far as checking if the payments have been processed or. do they actually-
I don't think they'll
I don't think so.
they won't receive email notifications, but by logging in,
they want to log in and see what the status is, they can see it.
It's not hard to find for pays, so. But that actually is something to think about, so thank you. Yeah.
This is just vendor enrollment to get them set up to be paid by the University of Montana. You will still go through Grismart for your contract service, scope of work. All of that will be done through the purchase order system, which is Grismart. This will just get them set up as a vendor. It'll tin match them for us. It'll sanction lists, check for debarred vendors. It checks. There's some questions for compliance for us with the state as far as have they ever been employed by the university or the state of Montana. Those questions will now be captured,
Conflict of
asked
interest.
directly by, they'll have to answer those so you guys don't have to try to weed through, have they ever been employed by the state or the university? They'll be responsible to answer those questions for conflict of interest now.
So Griswold, so then, and again, we're like to transfer officers. So we could still enter in the information in Griswold. Then assuming that you come back in.
There will be a link inside the Grismart cart. So when you're going in there to fill it out, there'll be a link. So if you can't find that particular person in the system by searching, then there'll be a link to send them an invite right from that inside the cart in Grismart.
Instead of sending it to new vendor setup, which is me.
Yeah.
So it's skipping that new vendor setup. Everything else remains the same, right?
Can I add some things to that?
Sure, Vicki.
What will happen is that you will invite them and you can't complete the part. So they're all involved. So you will have to have the vendor all set up, actually completed and paid before you can make the transition.
So let's see here. I lost track where we're at. So
Just skip all those screens.
did I?
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of troubleshooting in here that they have, like this one. My pay has not cleared the forms. Like we said, if they don't do it within timely, they start getting reminders from PaymentWorks. It's like the first reminder is 3 days, second 7, third 14, and then after that they just stop.
I think there's either 21 or 28 too. I think there might be one more after that. We're persistent, pretty much. Moral of the story.
I know we can resend it too. I mean,
Yeah, that's important because at other accounts that have done minimal training, we've seen that people don't use this button and it dilutes your data. It because we like to be able to break all these numbers down and see how onboarding is going for you. So using the resend invitation button avoids having multiple invitations for the same vendor out in the stratosphere.
And can they all access that?
The resend invitation?
Yeah.
Yes. You'll be able to access that.
So what he's saying then is if you're on vacation and you need to resend an email to somebody who's speaking, somebody else can go into their PaymentWorks account, search for it. Well, we gave them availability to look at all of them. But they can still resend the invitation from there?
I would need to
Okay.
check if it's all.
Never mind, ignore me.
Yeah. Because there is a permission. We have permissions and roles. Your roles will be initiators sending out these invitations, and your permissions are to send invitations. We do have a permission to resend other people's invitations, but I'm not sure. Okay, not sure. All right, yeah, we'll follow up.
We'll double check.
And if not, you guys would be
Yeah.
able to do it because you're
Yeah.
administrators. Or
Right.
whoever has administrator
right? We could do it.
permissions, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
What if you send the invitation and the person's email address, that person gets it
Does that? and
That
so-
went dark.
That took a real quick left turn.
Yes.
You've seen a lot.
Wow.
I know the person that does that. Anymore. So, is that company only linked to that one account?
I don't know. I think there's option, I believe that there is an option to add additional emails. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so payees, when you send the invitation, they create an account. It is a one-to-one at that point, but after they create the account and get in there, they can add users like Tracy was saying. And but if they didn't add a user and got hit by a bus,
Ran out of town for.
or ran a, yeah,
Went to
escaped to Canada for a little bit.
town.
Then you could probably contact someone else at the vendor and or support and just reach out to all of us, and our support team can help take care of that. As long as it's a verified employee or stakeholder or whatever the payee is, we can take care of that for you.
Okay, some more troubleshooting. So the ID that we're going to be using is going to be the company's TIN number. If they're a company, if they're just a person, it will be generated by Banner like it currently does. And then it will sync back over to Grismark. So it'll be like the 790 number if it's a person. That's a non-employee, non-student. Keep that in mind, because those won't go through this system.
Can I ask another question?
Sure,
How is
Vicki.
this gonna work for foreign vendors?
We're working on that one. Foreign vendors will be going through here. We're trying to get the schematics of that right, which is complicated. I don't know
We're
tech,
close.
but they're working on it. They're working on it. But yes, foreign vendors will go through here. Nicole has asked that we capture foreign vendor banking information. Did we go through the page? Okay. So we're going to capture the foreign banking information instead of having them handwrite it because they have difficulty reading that. Do you know if the domestic banking information is going to go away?
I don't know. That's up to Nicole. But I think that we're going to capture for the foreign because we have to pay them by a
No, I'm
wire.
saying in the PaymentWorks. Is
What do
that
you
going away?
It is
Oh,
going
hiding.
away.
Okay,
Yes.
hiding
cool.
the
Yeah,
banking.
yeah.
Yes.
They will still be there, but they won't be required.
Okay.
And then
Oh.
that's
Okay.
something we've been working on for a little while.
Okay.
That's because we released our new form.
Right.
So that's something we're working towards, hiding the bank.
So domestic vendors will still see the banking information. We don't want banking information for them.
It's not required.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any asterisk next to it. So if your payees ask, you can just tell them they don't have to complete it. But yeah, we are working towards being able to hide the banking information for payees that don't need to submit it because it can be confusing.
But foreign vendors will have that captured.
Tracy, if the outcome is they would be necessary.
I don't actually know what would happen if the banking information got sent over for domestic vendors. I
It's
don't
not-
know if
it's-
Banner would even accept it.
We're not syncing
Yeah.
that part of it. So if they
Yeah,
fill
so
out,
it would just live in PaymentWorks.
it's not going
forever.
anywhere. So
Which does help if you guys eventually want to move towards collecting domestic
Yeah.
banking information.
But we don't want them to do that right now.
Right, but if they did,
It wouldn't go anywhere. It would just stay in PaymentWorks. It wouldn't come to Banner. So if they filled it out expecting a direct deposit, they're not going to get a direct deposit. They're still going to get a check. I see what you're asking.
so back to the foreign vendors,
Yeah.
it's not gonna require students to have one.
I don't.
So the way we handle, tax-wise, the way we handle foreign vendors is if they don't have an ITIN, which just from looking at all of our other accounts, 99% of foreign vendors don't. We have a classification of foreign tax ID, which allows them to input their domestic tax ID from whatever, whether it be India, Italy, England, China.
But if they don't have one, it's not gonna hold up their setup.
Well, they do. Well, there's not many countries on it. There's like 16 countries on Earth that don't have tax identification numbers, and they're all like this big. So it tends to be an exception. But if that situation does come up, reach out to support and we can generate there's 17 digits. We'll generate a 17-digit placeholder tax ID pretty much, because that 17 digits is the only one that no country else uses. So just, again, edge case, but if it occurs, definitely reach out to us and that's an easy fix.
And like we said, I will still exist to help and do manual. So we're not like cutting you off at the neck or anything here.
Just trying to improve. Yeah. So this just demonstrates that pay will no longer be used. You can cancel the reminders there as well. Stop sending them if you decide you don't want to use that one. And there are resources on the PaymentWorks site. I don't know if kind of go over. Ryan.
Yeah, so we do have some documentation up in the help section. We are working towards improving this. There's a small video tutorial, as you see on the right, that gives you kind of an overview. It's not too in-depth, but it gives you an overview of how PaymentWorks works. And then in our help section at the top right, it'll take you to the support center on the left. And at the bottom right, you see for initiators. So if you click into those articles, it'll give you more information on how to use the system. And again, like I said, the past like 3 to 4 months have been a big change for us getting organized and stuff. So part of that is going to be improving these resources for you guys. So if you have a question or something, you won't have to reach out to support. You can just look on there and try to get it. But there is some resources in there currently.
So here's where the contact information I was discussing earlier. So that's phone numbers Tracy's. This is for policy business questions that we have. And then we also have the new vendors at MSO for email questions. If you have questions about how the vendor process works for the University of Montana. And then below, if you have questions like Ryan said about the platform, there's also a way to create a case for so if there's an issue with the platform itself.
And also feel free to just directly email us. Either way works. Whatever's easiest for you. Yes.
In the help section, there was a video tutorial. Was that for us or for the vendor?
No, it's for you, but it is pretty high level. It doesn't really get into a lot of nitty gritty. So it'll give you an overview of PaymentWorks, but it won't really get to the root of most of the questions you probably have.
There's something like some instructions or a video or something that we can send to the vendor. This is how you do it. We obviously won't see that in the video very much.
It's pretty much exactly the same as it is signing up for any website. It's not, I've done it at least 30 times through testing, and it's not a complicated process. It's very plain, it's very simple. Nothing, I would say it's no more confusing than the process we have now. Maybe less confusing than the process we have now.
Yeah, so I mean, the first question on the form pretty much determines the rest of it. It's, are you an individual sole proprietor, single member LLC, or are you a complex business entity? That's really the only thing you'll need to answer, because that determines the workflow for the rest of the form. So any individuals that you're sending it to, they're going to want to mark their individual. Any businesses, they're going to want to mark themselves as a corporate entity or other complex business.
If we submit a case, is that something that you guys would rather us communicate to you first, and it might be something that we're just doing wrong? Or
I would say, yeah. I would say, you know, for the beginning few months of this, you know, contact me first. If I'm not there, call Scott. Yeah, I would say contact us first, because it probably is just a learning curve. Like this is new for all of us. It's new for me. I'm as terrified as y'all are. So it's gonna be a journey, and we're on it together.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say contact me, and then if it's something I'm like, wow, I don't know what it is, call PaymentWorks. You can get in touch with them.
Yeah.
And if you want to CC our support team on something like that, that'd be great, just so we can record the inbound requests that you guys have, so we can proactively improve our platform in you guys' form.
I would gladly.
Put it on us. Come on, Tracy.
Yeah. I don't know if we had anything else. That's it. Yep. So that's all we had. I guess if you have any more questions for us? Yes, Jenny.
So this is gonna roll out.
It's going to be going live within the next couple of weeks. We're working on a few little things with the integration with Banner right now.
So in order for, like, I usually keep a lot of stuff on my desktop. So to get this, how do I get an icon?
You won't need an icon. It's going to be within Grismart. If you have Grismart already on your desk, the home page of Grismart is going to have a link right on it.
Oh,
So, yeah.
Anything else?
Any other question?
Hi, I'm Tracy. I saw most of your names and I know who most of you are because I email you all the time, but I don't know you.
Faces to names.
I have no
Faces to
idea who
names.
anybody is. I think that's, are you Dina? You're not Dina. Who's Dina? You're Dina. Who's Bird? Who's Bird? You're Bird. Okay.
Hey, one thing before you guys get out of here, would you mind getting together so I could take a picture of everyone to bring back to home base? If you got, I know it's a little cheesy, but
Everybody run.
yeah,
Like
Run,
rats. Sinking ship.
if you guys want to, if not, that's totally cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all right. Great.
Yeah, a couple.